Imagine a place where silence isn't peaceful. It's not the kind you find in a library.
No.
It's a heavy silence. It's pressurized. It feels like it's being, pumped into the room through the vents.
Like a vacuum almost.
Exactly, a vacuum. And the air, it smells like rubbing alcohol and old floor wax and just this really specific, sharp kind of fear.
And in this place, time isn't normal.
Not at all. Time is controlled by a dial on the wall in the nurse's station. If they want the afternoon to last 1,000 hours, they just turn the dial.
It sounds like some kind of dystopian prison or maybe a nightmare from a sci-fi novel. But on the surface, it's a hospital, a mental ward.
A place that's supposed to be for healing.
It's supposed to be.
But if you scratch that surface, even a little, you find something much more mechanical, something terrifyingly efficient. Today, on the deep dive, we are stepping into the fog. We're looking at Ken Kesey's masterpiece, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
The first part of it, specifically.
Right. And we're going to unpack the power dynamics of a world that feels less like a clinic and, well, more like a factory.
And that word factory, that is absolutely key. I mean, this isn't just a story about so-called crazy people. It's a story about a machine.
A machine that processes human beings.
Yeah.
This is a deep dive into the combine, the psychology of the rabbit versus the wolf, and, just the nuclear power of a single belly laugh.
So let's check into the ward.
Okay, so first things first. The perspective we're getting this from changes everything. This isn't a doctor's chart or, an objective narrator.
No, we're seeing it all through the eyes of Chief Bromden.
Chief Broom.
Right, Chief Broom. Tell us about him, because he is a walking contradiction.
He really is. Bromden is this huge man. He's, 6'7", half Indian, son of a tribal chief. Physically, he should be the most intimidating person in any room.
But he doesn't think he is.
He thinks he's tiny. He genuinely believes he is small and weak. And more importantly to the rest of the world, he's basically invisible.
Because of the act.
Exactly. He pretends to be deaf and dumb. And he's been doing it for years. It's his main survival strategy. He calls it being cagey.
Cagey is such a great word for it. It's not just hiding. It implies this kind of fox-like cunning. Why does he do it?
It's all about safety.
Yeah.
If you're a piece of furniture, nobody bothers you. Nobody expects anything from you. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to participate in the madness. You just sweep the floors.
You fade into the wallpaper. But there's a huge downside to that strategy, isn't there?
A massive one.
If people think you can't hear, they say everything in front of you.
That is the brilliance of his perspective. The staff, the aides, they don't filter themselves around him at all. He hears all the cruelty, the secrets, the pure, unvarnished hate.
He's the ultimate spy, but he's a prisoner in his own disguise.
Yeah. And this isolation it's warped his mind. We have to be clear here. Bromden hallucinates. He's not a reliable narrator in a journalistic sense.
No, but his hallucinations aren't random. They feel like metaphors, like a kind of hyper-reality.
Exactly. When he looks at the hospital, he doesn't just see a bureaucracy. He sees a machine. He calls it the combine.
Let's unpack the combine, because this isn't just about the hospital, right? It's bigger than that.
Oh, it's much bigger. For Bromden, the combine is this massive, invisible organization that runs all of society.
The schools, the churches.
The government, the whole conformist culture of the 50s. The combine's job is to process people, to take the raw material of humanity and just press it into a mold.
Like a factory assembly line.
That's it. You go to school to learn to sit still. You go to church to learn to obey. And if you don't fit, if you're too loud, too different, too broken,
You're defective product. And defective products get sent to the repair shop.
the mental hospital.
Right. So the hospital isn't there to cure you. It's there to bolt you back together, to adjust your screws until you fit the machine again.
It's a terrifying worldview. It just strips away the idea of medical care and replaces it with industrial quality control.
And Bromden sees this, literally. When he looks at the aides, he calls them the black boys. He doesn't see men.
No, he sees robots. He says their eyes glitter like radio tubes, and he can hear machinery humming inside them. He thinks they're just extensions of the combine, built specifically to carry out hate.
And then there's the fog. We can't talk about Bromden's world without talking about the fog.
The fog is his main defense mechanism. He believes the ward has an actual fog machine, a literal device. that the staff turns on to obscure reality.
He describes it so vividly. It's thick and white rolling in along the floor. He says it smells like cold steamed milk. It's disgusting, but it's also a little comforting to him, isn't it?
That's the paradox. I mean, think about it. If you're lost in a dense fog, you are completely isolated. You can't see the person next to you. You can't connect.
But if you can't see them, they can't see you. You're hidden. You're safe.
So slipping into the fog is like choosing a kind of madness. You lose the world, but you stop feeling the pain of the world.
Exactly. It's dissociation. He retreats into it because reality is too sharp. But the sources give us this horrific glimpse of what happens when the fog clears. Bromden has this vision where the floor of the dorm just drops out.
Oh, that scene. That one really stuck with me. It's like something out of Dante, but industrialized.
It's hideous. He imagines the floor dropping like a high-speed elevator down into the bowels of the building. And down there, it's not a basement. It's a hydroelectric dam. Furnaces, robot workers, the works.
And he sees a patient, old Blastic, a vegetable, who died that night.
He sees Blastic hooked by the heel and ripped open. But, and this is the detail that just gets you, when he's ripped open, blood and guts don't fall out.
No, it's rust and ashes, wire and glass.
Industrial waste. That is what the Combine does. It empties you of your organic humanity and fills you with junk. And when you break, you're just scrap metal.
And sitting at the very top of this factory, managing the controls, regulating the fog, is the big nurse, Miss Ratched.
The antagonist. And, we have to give her due. She is one of the most formidable villains in literature. But not because she's some kind of monster with claws.
No, she's scary because she's so neat.
Precision made. That's Bromden's term for her, a marvel of engineering. Her face is smooth like enamel. Her movements are calculated. She's a machine.
He does notice one mistake in her manufacturing, though, her bosom. She has this large, womanly chest, and she tries to hide it. She binds it down under that stiff white uniform.
Because it's too natural. It's too biological. It's a reminder that she's a woman, not a robot. She wants to be a pure instrument of power with no gender, no softness. She's a mechanism.
And there's that great detail about her bag, this woven wicker bag you'd expect to see, I don't know, a compact, some lipstick.
But Bromden imagines looking inside, and what does he see? No womanly things. He sees wheels, gears, cogs, needles, wire.
She's carrying the spare parts for the machine, the tools to adjust the patients.
So how does she actually control them? Physically, she's a middle-aged woman. The ward is full of men. Why don't they just, ignore her?
She doesn't rule with physical strength. She rules with psychology. She weaponizes shame and division. She's basically created a surveillance state.
The logbook.
Yes, the logbook, which is just a masterstroke of tyranny. It sits at the nurse's station, and she tells the patients, if you hear your friend say something interesting or see him do something wrong, write it down.
And if you write something juicy, you get a reward.
Maybe you get to sleep late the next morning.
She turns them all into snitches.
She destroys any trust between them. You can't bond with the guy in the next bed because he might sell your secrets for an extra hour of sleep. If the men can't trust each other, they can't organize.
They stay isolated. It's them against her, one by one. And then she uses that information in the group meetings, what she calls therapeutic community.
And what McMurphy calls a pecking party.
That imagery is so visceral. Explain the pecking party idea.
Well, McMurphy explains it perfectly. He says a flock of chickens is vicious. If one chicken sees a spot of blood on another, it pecks at it. Then the other chickens see the blood and they all join in. They just peck and peck until the wounded bird is torn to pieces.
And that's the group meeting.
Exactly. The nurse finds a spot of blood, a secret from the logbook, a weakness, a shame. She points it out. And then she just sits back, folds her hands, and lets the other patients do the work.
They attack the victim, questioning his manhood, his motives, shaming him, all to please her.
She keeps her own hands clean.
Always. She creates a vacuum of guilt, and the men just rush to fill it. It's psychological cannibalism.
One of the patients, Harding, he's the intellectual of the group, he has a very specific theory about this. He calls her a ball cutter.
He does. And the language is aggressive, but his point is about power. He argues that her entire method is to strip the men of their masculinity, to emasculate them. And he gives McMurphy this whole theory of wolves and rabbits.
We are rabbits, he says.
Right. He tells McMurphy, the world is a strong place. It eats the weak. We are the rabbits. We're built to be eaten. And because we're rabbits, we need a strong wolf to rule us.
It's learned helplessness. They've been so beaten down, not with fists, but with shame and pills and routine, that they've accepted their status as prey.
They think they need her control to survive.
And into this sterile, silent factory of rabbits walks a wolf.
Enter Randall Patrick McMurphy.
The catalyst. The disruption. His entrance alone is a violation of all the rules. In this world of silence and whispering, he comes in booming.
He's a total sensory contrast. I mean, visually, everyone else is in these pale green uniforms blending in. McMurphy walks in wearing work farm clothes, heavy boots that ring on the floor, a motorcycle cap tilted back.
He's got a star across his nose, he's broad-shouldered. He looks like he's made of earth and muscle, not plastic and wire.
And his voice, he talks like a carnival barker, calls himself a gambling fool, and he shakes hands with everyone. I mean, everyone.
Even the chronics.
Even the vegetables. He shakes their hands. Bromden says that when McMurphy shakes his hand, it feels hard and calloused, like a roadmap of work and life. It's this touch of the real world coming into the bubble.
And he laughs. Bromden makes a huge point of this. He says he hasn't heard a real laugh in years.
Not a giggle, not a nervous snicker. A loud, open belly laugh. And McMurphy says something really profound right away. When you lose your laugh, you lose your footing.
He diagnoses the ward instantly. He sees that this deadly seriousness is the weapon being used to crush these men.
So why is he even there? I mean, is he actually mentally ill?
That's the big question.
Wow.
His diagnosis is psychopath. The notes mention overzealous sexual relations and fighting. But McMurphy basically admits he's gaming the system.
He was on a work farm doing hard labor, and he thought the nut house would be an easy ride.
Yeah, soft beds, free food. He thought he was pulling a fast one.
He thought it was a vacation. He didn't realize he was walking into a totalitarian state. He thought he could just play poker and charm the nurses.
But he walks in and immediately feels that pressure, the silence. And because he's McMurphy, the gambling fool, he can't just sit still. He has to disrupt it.
And the early skirmishes are just fantastic. The morning after he arrives, he's in the latrine singing.
The Cottonwoods are hungry, belting it out, and the staff is just paralyzed. They don't know what to do. There's no rule against being happy.
It's against the atmosphere, but it's not technically against the rules.
Then there's the toothpaste incident. This is such a classic con man move.
It's brilliant. So the aides keep the toothpaste locked up. It's a petty control tactic. McMurphy doesn't yell. He doesn't fight. He just asks what's in the cleaning bucket. Soap powder, the aide says. So McMurphy just shrugs and brushes his teeth with soap powder.
It's so smart. He follows the letter of the law, but he completely mocks the spirit of their authority. He makes their rules look silly.
If he had fought them, they'd have sedated him. They have rules for violence. They don't have rules for absurdity. He just makes the whole conflict a joke.
And he sees through Bromden's act immediately. That moment gave me chills. Everyone ignores the chief. But McMurphy looks right at him, winks, and says, "What's your story, Chief?"
He knows. Or maybe he just respects him enough to treat him like a man. But that wink is a lifeline. It pulls Bromden a little bit out of the fog.
But McMurphy isn't just there to be a pest. He sees the pecking party. He sees Billy Bibbit, a 30-year-old man, stuttering and weeping because he's terrified of the nurse.
He sees that they're being destroyed. And that's when he decides to declare war. He makes the bet.
The Betsy Bug bet.
He bets the other patients he can get the best of Nurse Ratched within a week. He says he'll bug her till she comes apart at those neat little seams.
And he puts real money on it.
Which isn't just about the cash. It's about proving a point. He wants to show them that she isn't a god. She's just a woman. And a person can be beaten.
So the campaign begins. One of the first major strikes is the towel scene.
This is where he weaponizes his own body. The nurse is yelling at him about not having his uniform. He's standing there in just a towel. And with perfect comedic timing, he just drops it.
But plot twist, he's not naked.
No. He's wearing these ridiculous coal-black satin shorts covered in white whales with red eyes.
A gift from a literature major who told him he was a symbol.
Which is Kesey just winking at us.
Yeah.
But in the story, it's a slap in the face to the nurse. She represents sterility, repression, anti-life, and he's just flaunting his virility. He turns her attempt at discipline into a burlesque show.
And she can't handle it.
Bromden notices that her face, that perfect enamel face, starts to sag. The machine is glitching. She's losing her cool.
He's chipping away at her armor, and he's rallying the troops. He even manages to turn the doctor.
Dr. Spivey, the ultimate rabbit. The nurse usually controls him completely, but McMurphy finds out they went to the same high school. He bonds with him.
And suddenly the doctor is growing a spine.
He starts proposing things. A carnival for the ward. opening the tub room for card games. This is a huge territorial victory. The nurse says there's not enough staff, and the doctor, emboldened by McMurphy, actually pushes back.
It's a mutiny. McMurphy is showing the men that authority can be challenged.
But the nurse, she's patient. She plays the long game. She knows she has the ultimate weapon, time, and she has the fog.
Bromden notices this tug-of-war, doesn't he?
He does. He says when McMurphy is around, the fog seems to clear. He drags the men out of it. But the nurse can always turn the machine back on. She just waits for him to slip.
And the conflict really comes to a head over the World Series. This feels like the pivotal political battle of this first act.
It is. It's democracy versus tyranny in a microcosm. McMurphy wants to watch the World Series. The games are on during the day, during cleaning time. So he proposes a simple vote. Change the schedule.
A reasonable request.
Perfectly reasonable. But in the ward, routine is control. So the nurse allows a vote, knowing the men are terrified.
And the first vote is a disaster.
McMurphy raises his hand. Cheswick raises his hand. And that's it. The rest of them just sit on their hands, staring at the floor.
McMurphy is disgusted. He calls him chicken shit.
He takes it personally. He didn't realize how deep the fear went. This is when Harding has to explain the rabbit theory. They know she can send them to the shock shop. She holds the keys to their sanity.
But McMurphy refuses to accept that. He refuses the rabbit label. He works on them. He campaigns. He forces a second vote.
And this time, he gets the majority of the accused, the 20 men who are curable, to raise their hands. It's this massive moment of open defiance.
But then, the technicality.
The bureaucracy strikes back. She looks at the group and says, so calmly, there are 40 patients on this ward. She's counting the chronics.
The men who are in comas, the men who are just staring at the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She says the ward constitution requires a majority of all patients. Since the chronics can't vote, they effectively vote no.
It's rigged. That is absolutely rigged.
It's the system protecting itself. When the rules don't work, you just change the interpretation of the rules. McMurphy is frantic. He runs around trying to get the chronics to raise their hands.
And he actually gets one or two to twitch. But she just shuts it down. The meeting is adjourned, she says. She wins.
Or so she thinks. Because this leads to one of the most cinematic moments in the book. The meeting is closed. The vote failed. But when the time for the game comes, McMurphy walks over to the TV.
Which she turned off from the nurse's station.
Right. The screen is blank gray. But McMurphy pulls up a chair. He sits right in front of it, leans back, puts his feet up, and starts cheering.
He pretends the game is on.
He ignores her reality and substitutes his own. He's yelling, strike three, home run! He's announcing the game that isn't there.
And the other men.
They join him. They all pull up their chairs and sit next to him, watching this blank screen, cheering and laughing.
That is so powerful.
It's revolutionary. The nurse is in her glass booth, yelling at them, banging on the glass. But they ignore her. For that moment, she doesn't exist. They've stepped out of her world and into his.
That's the fog being lifted. She can't touch them there. They're having a shared hallucination of freedom.
Exactly. But we have to be realistic. The victory was symbolic. The defeat was literal. The vote didn't pass. The men feel the weight of that. They're still trapped.
And this leads us to the climax of this whole section, the control panel scene. This, for me, is the thesis statement of the entire book.
Yeah, the mood is heavy. They're in the tub room feeling small again. And Fredrickson is mocking McMurphy, saying, you're all talk.
And McMurphy looks at this massive control panel. Describe this thing.
It's the hydrotherapy control unit. It's made of steel and cement. It weighs 1/4 of a ton, easy. And it's not just heavy. It's bolted and plumbed into the concrete floor. It's part of the building.
And McMurphy says, I can lift it.
Not only that, he bets on it. Forces them to put up money. Who's got $5 they want to lose?
Why does he do that? He's not stupid. He knows he can't lift a bolted-down cement console.
That is the crucial question. The men think he's just being a hustler. But he approaches it with total seriousness. He rolls up his sleeves.
The way Kesey writes this, you can feel the strain.
You can. He grips the levers, he pulls, his arms swell, the veins stand out on his neck like ropes. His face turns dark red. He is exerting maximum effort.
His hands start to bleed.
The cement grinds against the floor, a screeching sound. He gives it absolutely everything he has. He pushes his body to the breaking point, and he fails. He collapses. The thing barely budged. He falls back, panting, hands bleeding, and the men are just quiet. They're almost embarrassed for him.
But then he stands up, he looks at them, and he delivers the line.
But I tried, though. God damn it, I sure as hell did that much now, didn't I?
But I tried.
That's the core philosophy. In the ward, the sin isn't failing. The sin is not trying. The nurses convinced them that because the odds are impossible, they shouldn't even make the attempt.
Because failure is painful,
Yeah.
it confirms you're a rabbit.
Right. But McMurphy flips the script. He shows them that the attempt itself is a victory. It restores dignity. By trying to lift the unliftable, he breaks the spell of helplessness.
It changes the atmosphere completely.
It does. Before this, they were rabbits hiding. After this, they start looking at him and themselves differently. He didn't move the panel, but he moved them.
It connects back to that idea of the Combine. The Combine wants you to think resistance is futile.
And McMurphy is saying, to hell with the machine, I'm going to fight it anyway, even if I break my hands doing it.
I want to circle back to Chief Bromden for a second. He's watching all of this. How is McMurphy affecting him specifically?
Well, remember, Bromden thinks he's small. He says he used to be big. You mean psychologically. But when McMurphy shakes his hand and now watching this feat of strength, Bromden starts to feel a change. He says when McMurphy touched him, it was like he was transmitting his own blood into it.
A transfusion of strength.
Exactly. McMurphy is literally pumping life back into these ghosts. Bromden starts to remember things. He remembers his father, the chief. The fog is a way of forgetting, and McMurphy forces him to remember.
We should also talk about the sexual dynamics here because they are unavoidable. There's this constant tension between the big nurse and McMurphy that feels charged.
Incredibly charged.
Yeah.
Kesey writes the conflict as a battle of the sexes, which is complicated now, but in the book's symbolism, the nurse represents a sterile, anti-life force. She hates sexuality. She hates anything messy.
That's why the whale shorts were such a trigger.
Yes. And McMurphy is hypersexual. He's overzealous. He talks about women constantly. He sees their emasculation as the source of their sickness. He's trying to make them men again in that very traditional sense.
And Harding, the intellectual, he says, we are victims of a matriarchy.
Harding is fascinating because he knows exactly what's happening, but he's powerless. He has the intellect to analyze the trap, but he needs McMurphy to be the battering ram.
So if we look at where we leave off in this section, McMurphy has failed to lift the panel. He failed the vote, but the mood has shifted.
The war has officially started. The skirmishes are over. The nurse knows he's dangerous now. She knows he's not just a loudmouth. He's a leader.
And the men are waking up. That's the most dangerous thing for the Combine. A waking man is a glitch in the system.
It makes you wonder about the cost of that. McMurphy seems invincible, but he's fighting a system that can literally lobotomize you.
We see Ruckley, the chronic, who was once an acute but was lobotomized. He's a living warning sign.
Fuck the wife. That's all he can say. It's a tragic, horrific detail. It shows McMurphy is playing with fire. If he pushes too hard, he could end up like Ruckley.
But he chooses to push anyway. He has the most to lose.
I think he realizes he can't go back. Once you start laughing in the face of the big nurse, you can't just go back to being a rabbit. You have to finish it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to that final image, the man straining against the machine.
It's the defining image of the individual against the institution. Whether it's a mental ward, a corporation, a government, the machine is heavy. It's bolted down.
And the reality is, you probably can't lift it.
You probably can't. But the victory isn't in moving the cement. The victory is in the blood on your hands. The victory is in standing up afterwards and saying, I tried.
Because if you don't try, the machine has already won.
Precisely. The act of rebellion is the victory, regardless of the outcome.
That's something to chew on. Where's the control panel in your life? What's the thing you've convinced yourself is too heavy to lift, so you've just stopped trying? Maybe it's time to grip the levers.
You might just surprise yourself. Or at least you'll scare the people watching.
And sometimes that's enough. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.